Welcome to class. And today we are going to be looking at the AWS. We're going to be looking at the AWS Global Infrastructure. AWS Global Infrastructure. In this module, we are going to summarize the benefits of AWS Global Infrastructure. We're going to describe the basic concept of availability zone. What do we call availability zone? Most times, what you're going to be hearing as time goes on now is AZ. AZ. So AZ is availability zone. We are going to describe the benefits of Amazon CloudFront edge locations. Don't worry if they are sounding strange, but when we start talking about them, you will understand it. One thing I tell people is don't cram. Don't cram it. Understand what it's meant to do and put it in your own terminology. Are we here? Okay. So then we're going to compare the different methods of provisioning AWS service. So we take it up from here. Mr. Kayode, can you read for us, please?
Okay, sir. I want to. Okay. We want to about
Okay, sorry. We want to
we want
talk
to talk,
about.
we want to talk about high availability.
Mhm.
Say Benedict wants to grab a cup of coffee at the cafe. Imagine there is a carnival or festival in the particular city our coffee shop is located. What happened? As far as Benedict is concerned, he needs a coffee and does not give a damn about festival. We need to be highly available for our customers as a business oriented company, and that is what AWS has done.
Fantastic. Hold on. I'm going to explain this now. Um, we we talk about our coffee shop, right? We can still remember our coffee shop. Our coffee shop
Yeah,
where we say we have the barista, and we use Regina as an example of our barista. We talk of cashier. We talk of different things inside the coffee shop. Customers are coming and they just need to take coffee. Now we are
yeah.
using Benedict as an example of someone of a customer. But now let's take our side or our mind off coffee shop now. Let's look at, let's take for instance, we are using tasty fried chicken as an example in Nigeria. Are we still here, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So if you need tasty fried chicken in your area, say for instance in Yaba, and there is a festival in Yaba, and tasty fried chicken is located in Yaba, are we there? There is a
Yes,
festival,
sir.
and this
Yeah.
festival is masquerade festival. The whole road is blocked and everything. There is traffic everywhere. What do you do if you can't get tasty fried chicken? What do you do?
You
You
order.
find another route.
You find
I
another
mean,
route,
you eat another food.
okay? Or you eat another food. Fantastic. What happens to tasty fried chicken that day? If they only have one office and it's in Yaba, it means they are going to lose many customers
Customer.
that day.
Mm.
Yes,
Are we right?
yes,
Now, that is going to bring about loss of revenue
yes. For that day.
for that day. If the festival lasts for a week, you know the kind of revenue they are going to lose.
It's
Now,
going to be more.
it's going to be much. That's one. Two, if they did not hear about the festival on time, and they've
Yeah.
got to prepare chicken, prepare rice,
Product,
there will be wastage of
product is poor.
products.
Yeah.
Now, of recent, each time when I'm coming back from the mainland to the island, I discover that I always see masquerade, masquerade, masquerade. At Mushin area. You know, say, they are doing masquerade stuff, and it's going to last for like a month or two. Imagine that kind of festival now goes for a month. What happened? If care is not taken, the company can go into being closed down.
Yes.
So AWS came up with the ideology that we cannot have. Now look at this first picture here. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Look at this first diagram. I'm coming. See this
How
first
will now
diagram.
go
This first diagram, it has only
branch?
one branch, and there is traffic here, there is traffic here. No way
Yes.
to, so total loss of revenue for them there. So AWS came up with the ideology that we are not going to run our business in such manner. They decide that what we are going to do is to make sure we have many branches. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Where customers can do what?
Yes.
Can have access. These are different branches where you can have access to coffee shop, and that's what most of these our fast food they have done, right? They have different branches. So if this particular location is having congestion, there is traffic, there is festival, what do? You go to another location. It is still the same fast food. When I say fast food,
Yes.
that particular maybe probably you prefer Chicken Republic. So if Chicken Republic in Yaba is not accessible, you can go to Chicken Republic in on the island, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what AWS have done. Um, Mr. Triumph, read this for us. We'll take it up from here now.
So,
Okay, read this for us. Thank you.
okay. AWS has done a similar thing with how the AWS Global Infrastructure is set up. It is not good enough to have one giant data center where all the resources are. If something were to happen to that data center, like a power outage or a natural disaster, everyone's applications would go down all at once. You need high availability and fault tolerance. Turns out it's not good enough. It's not even good enough to have two giant data centers. Instead, AWS operates in all sorts of different areas around the world called regions. Yes. Customers want their business to be, sorry, let me zoom in.
Okay.
Okay. Customers want their business to be highly available regardless of any parades blocking the streets. To understand the AWS global infrastructure, consider the coffee shop. If an event such as a parade, flood, or power outage impacts one location, customers can still get their coffee by visiting a different location only a few blocks away. This is similar to how the AWS global infrastructure works. Although I have a question, sir.
Okay, please ask.
Uh, most use this method, but at times you hear things like Facebook is down, WhatsApp is down, Twitter is down. Like I remember earlier this year, Facebook was down, so nobody could access WhatsApp, Instagram, any of those features. If they have this kind of infrastructure, because I know Amazon will not be the only ones to have this. If they have this kind of infrastructure, why do we still experience outages?
Fantastic. Do we have any other person that reasons this, that have been thinking about this? Are we seeing this class, please?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Have you ever thought about this? Is it
Yes.
better?
It's possible that the outage affected all the zone.
I'm here.
Okay. Please, it's important we get some things and don't just feel like, oh, videos I will watch. But it's important we pay attention, please. Somebody just asked a very interesting question now. Earlier this year, or sometimes last year, I think it's this year, Facebook had an outage, and we know that Facebook, WhatsApp are integrated together. So there was no WhatsApp. I even heard in Nigeria they were shocked at initially whether it's the government that is doing something or somehow, you know. But then, if there is high availability like this that we just explained now, in terms of AWS global infrastructure, whereby there are different zones and resources are kept here and there, how come we still have this kind of outage? Anybody have an idea? Okay,
Um,
Miss Regina just said that it's possible it affects all the whole region. Well, that is true, but that is not the case here. Because
so
if it
okay.
affects all region, it's not going to be all over the whole world.
What
So
is
I think that, you
Okay,
know, first of all, I if there is an attack on their infrastructure, right? Even if they have availability zones everywhere, I believe that everything is still stemming from one particular location to different availability zones. So I think the most important thing is the protection of your data. Even when Facebook went down, Instagram went down, WhatsApp went down, when you came back, your Facebook did not wipe away. So I probably, because if one data center went down, maybe your data was duplicated in another data center. So when they were able to bring that up, your data remained. So I
fantastic.
think that
You've done a fantastic job there. Number one, having to have a well secure data center is a great one. Number two, do you know that they were trying to upgrade some things? That was when they were trying to consolidate. What's it called now? Oh, Meta, right? Is it Meta? You know, if you open
yes,
Facebook
Meta.
now, you don't see Facebook, you see Meta or something, a particular name like that. The
Yes, Meta.
Meta. Now,
Meta is like a copyright.
is it okay? Now,
No, Meta is the parent company. Like all they don't want Facebook to be the main company because it's easy to sue Facebook and then affect other companies under them.
okay,
So just like Google is under Alphabet,
okay,
Facebook and Instagram. Yes, yes, I guess now. Like if you open Facebook, you see Meta down.
yeah,
Like yes, I
yes,
like the footer. Sure you get. So he's also stand like the copyright. Let's say copyright of Facebook. Sure you get.
okay. Now, this is where I am going. Number one thing you need to first of all consider, you know that you making modification on your application, there are many things you need to consider. Number one, do you have high availability on that application itself? Did you create auto scaling on the application, whereby if there is too many traffic hitting the server, this can cause the server to go down temporarily? The level of technologically inclined person handling your applications, they are also involved.
Load
So
balancer would be involved too, sir.
you say what? Load
Will
balancer,
load
yeah,
balancer be involved?
of course. Now,
Okay.
the person who is managing the infrastructure might mistakenly go and do some things on the load balancer, for instance. And if the load balancer goes down, you know what happens? Traffic doesn't know where to go to again.
Yes.
He can go and hit just one particular server alone and it goes down. We are not saying that is what really happened to Facebook, but we are looking at what can likely happen. So when we look at this infrastructure in depth, you will get to understand. But let's go back to our coffee shop. Remember when we're looking at the coffee shop, imagine if you have just only one data center in Nigeria and there is a fire outage that affects that data center. What happens? That's the end. If you have only one chicken republic and omonile, you know all these people they call omonile, they just go there and they say, today you are not selling except to give us 20,000. And you've not even sell anything. They now stop customer from coming in. What happened? No show that day. As far as you are concerned as a customer, what you want is to be able to access your service at any point in time. Let me tell you this. If Facebook, if Facebook has had an SLA host their service on AWS, and that service
Yes.
went down for that period, and they traced it down to AWS, that is the issue. They will charge AWS for every dime penny that they lose. I hope you understand what I'm talking about here.
Yes, sir.
Some of us that are working, you know what we call SLA, right? Isivera, what's SLA? Isivera, are we there? Or can anybody explain what SLA is? What's the meaning of SLA?
I really don't know.
Service level agreement.
Huh?
Service level agreement. Service level agreement.
Thank you. And what can you say about it?
Okay. It's just like an agreement or a commitment between a service provider and the client.
Fantastic. Thank you.
That
Look at that word. There is a word you use there. A commitment. There is a commitment. The commitment will tell you that my service has to be up 99.999%. You understand? AWS will tell you that your service hosted on our cloud platform will be up for 99.999%. Now, immediately that service goes down, Facebook will go and check their service level agreement and say that if our uptime is now reduced to 99.99%, you are going to pay for, you understand? You are going to pay for that other 9 that is removed. Now, let me bring it to let me simplify it. If our service goes down for 10 minutes, you will pay us 10,000. If it goes down for 20 minutes, you pay us 50,000. If it goes down for 40 minutes, you pay us this. And Facebook would have sat down and looked at what is the business impact of any downtime, the kind of impact is going to dealt on their business. All right, let's move on. There is something I want to point out here. It's not good enough to have 2 giant data centers. Instead, AWS operates in all sorts of different areas around the world called region. 2 keywords now. Number 1, AZ. What is AZ? Who can remind that for me? What's the full meaning of AZ?
Availability zone.
Thank you. Now we have region. We move on to the next slide. To understand the global infrastructure of AWS, we will begin with our fundamental business name. Say Kayode have an application that he has to run. That's Kayode now. Or content he needs to store. Now, historically, business had to run application in their own DC. This is data center because they don't have a choice. That's before the advent of cloud. Now, once AWS, Azure, Google GCP, Huawei Cloud became available, companies like Kayode could now run their application in other data centers they didn't actually own. Kayode now can say, well, I want to run my mobile app on AWS. So I don't need to do what? I don't need to add a data center and install different servers, right? Now, AWS answered the question of what happens when disasters strike by building their own data center in large group called regions. So AWS build their data center in large groups that are called regions. And here is how it's designed. Throughout the globe, AWS build regions to be closest to where the business traffic demands. Now, I will explain this. If, for instance, Mr. Adeshola says, I want to start food business. Are you with me? You want to start food business. Immediately you start, you will look at where people are ordering for your food the most, right? Where are your orders coming from the most? Is it on the island? Is it on Yaba area? Is it Epe? Is it Iyanopaja? So what you do is you will start from a small area, but where you now see that more orders are coming from, you will go and build more shops there. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what AWS have done is they look at some locations where people need cloud service the most. Places like Paris, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Dublin, Ohio. Inside each region, AWS have multiple DCs. Anytime you see DC, data center. Anytime you see AZ, availability zone, that have all the compute, storage, and other services we need to run our applications. Just like um, Chicken Republic, for instance, it is still the same meat pie, donut that you see in Chicken Republic on the island that you will see in the Chicken Republic also on the mainland. Most times it's still the same ingredients. So that's what we are saying too. The same EC2 instance in Paris is still the same EC2 instance in Tokyo, still the same EC2 instance in Dublin. Each region,
Just like duplicate.
you say what? Exactly, duplicate. Each region can be connected to each other through a high-speed fiber network. You see where networking comes in now. Did you see that they are not using radio here, Mr. Adeshola?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
High-speed fiber network
Network.
controlled by AWS. Now, before we get into the architecture of how each region is built, it's important to know that the business decision maker get to choose which region you want to run out from. Did you see that? You now need to choose which region do I even run my applications from, right? When you say region now, I think I've opened AWS console for us before, and let me see if I can quickly get that. AWS console. Let me see. It's here. Oh, I think I have it here. So, are we still here, please?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a minute. For the next class. But there are different regions. Okay, I think we should even have a slide that will capture that. For each region, and each region, sorry, is isolated from every other region in the sense that absolutely no data goes in and out of your environment in that region without you explicitly granting permission for that data to be moved. This is a critical security. Now, I will explain that as we move on. Okay. Someone should take this.
All right, sir. For example, we might have government compliance requirement that our financial information in Frankfurt cannot leave Germany. Well, this is absolutely the way AWS operates out of the box. Any data stored in or
In
what?
Uyo.
Uyo, okay. Any data stored in Uyo region never leaves the Uyo region. The data in the Paris region never leaves Paris, or Sydney never leaves Sydney, unless you explicitly, with the right credentials and permissions, request the data be exported. Regional data sovereignty, yeah, regional data sovereignty is part of the critical design of AWS, with data being subject to the local laws and statuses of the country where the region lives. Okay. So with that understanding that our data, our application lives and run in a region, one of the first decision we get to make is which region do we pick. There is four business factor that go into choosing a region: compliance,
Thank you. Don't worry.
proximity.
Before we go to that, now listen to this. We have different regions: North Virginia, Ohio, Tokyo, Sydney, different regions that, and we have Cairo, right? Is it Cairo in? Is it Cairo? Which place do we have in South Africa? Then we have a particular place in South Africa. That's the only African place where AWS.
Johannesburg.
Johannesburg. Thank you. Now, this is one thing you need to know. If you have your data or your EC2 instance created in North Virginia and you store data there, the data cannot be taken from North Virginia to go and put in Ohio without you specifying it. You must specify that you want this to be done, and you must use the right credential to ensure that this is done. Now, and anytime you want to do this, there are four major things you need to look at. You know, some countries, you cannot, there are some data that cannot leave the country, security informations. Do you know that China, they have their own AWS cloud infrastructure? If you look at those uh, regions, you will not see China there. The China requested that they should build the AWS cloud purely for Chinese, and all information should remain within that, or else you cannot come and run your service here.
Mm,
Do you get that?
okay. Yes.
Uh-huh. So these are for security purpose. So when you want to choose a region, there are four key major things or factors you must put into consideration. Number one is what?
Procurement.
Number two,
Number one is compliance.
yes. Number two,
Number three is proximity.
two is proximity, three is availability, and four is pricing. Now look at this. If for one reason or the other, eh, the region you want to run from, or you are running from, has a restriction that says nothing should leave this country, you don't have options. You cannot go and be looking at proximity. You cannot go and be looking. You have to stay with that region. You won't get it now, but let's move on. What does compliance says? Compliance is talking about laws, rules and regulation. Proximity is talking about how close is your business to what? To your customer. Availability, how highly available is this region?
to the customers.
Yes. Another thing is there are some services you want to run, okay? And all the services, AWS did not create it immediately and it happens all over the whole place. Maybe like for instance, there is a service that maybe DevOps Guru, there's a DevOps Guru stuff that AWS creates. They will create it first in a particular region and then begin to duplicate it in all other regions. So the region you are choosing from, it's possible for that service not to be available there at that time. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. Say for instance, um, uh, our coffee shop. If we say we want to bring up a new kind of taste in our head office, right? That's the first place you will start from, your head office, HQ.
Yes, sir. So I think we understand.
Okay, you get that.
I
So
think,
thank you.
yes, sir.
Then pricing. I think somebody will say, why are we looking at pricing here? There are some times that the charges in a particular region is not the same across all regions.
Other regions.
So, and you as a business person, you want to look at where I need to save cost. So let's move to the next first one. If this is what we explained today, will be good. Will be good. Mrs. Rivera, read this for us.
Compliance. Before any of the other factors, we must first look at our compliance requirements. Do we have a requirement that our data must live in UK boundaries, for instance? Then we should choose the London region, full stop. None of the rest of the options matter. Or let's say we must run inside Chinese borders. Sorry, excuse me. We should choose one of the AWS Chinese regions. Most businesses, though, are not governed by such strict regulations. So if we don't have a compliance or regulatory control that dictates our region, then you can look at the other factors.
Did you get that? If you don't have regulatory control that dictates our region, then
Sorry.
we can look at. But once we have restriction, you can't look at the remaining one. If UK says all the things, probably if you are working for a bank now in UK, and they say all our data, all our information should reside in UK, you cannot go and choose Johannesburg region. You must choose London. If you are working for a Chinese company in Nigeria as a solution architect, for instance, or as a DevOps engineer, or as a cloud automation engineer, whatever it is you want to do for them in the cloud, you must put it in the Chinese region. Do we understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, move to number 2, proximity.
Proximity. How close are we to our customer base is another major factor because speed of light still the law of the universe. If most of our customers live in Singapore, we will consider running out of the Singapore region. Is that what is supposed to be there?
Yes, if all of your customers are living in Singapore, then you will pick Singapore region.
So, but you said we'll consider running out of the Singapore region.
Yes, you are going to be running out. That is, you are going to be running your services from the Singapore region.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought you meant outside
Okay,
Singapore
let me put it
region.
this way so that it will be we won't.
From the Singapore region. That's better.
Yeah.
So if most of our customers live in Singapore, we'll consider running from the Singapore region. Of course, we certainly can run out of Virginia, but the time it takes for the information to be sent or latency between the US and Singapore is always going to be a factor. Locating close to your customer base is usually the right call.
I think this is pretty straightforward. You can say
Yes,
that
it is.
you are hungry, okay, and you have tasty fried chicken just 3-story building away from you, and you decide to send your child to go to the one at Yaba to come and for that's just the explanation there. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay. Number 3, availability. Sometimes the closest region may not have all the AWS features you want. Now, here's one of the cool things about AWS. We're constantly innovating on behalf of our customers. Every year, AWS releases thousands of new features and products specifically to answer customers' requests and needs. But sometimes those brand new services take a lot of new physical hardware that AWS has to build out to make the service operational. And sometimes that means they have to build the service out one region at a time. So what happens is if the services are not available in a region close to you at this time, you choose a region where the service is currently available.
That's straightforward as well. Or do I explain?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, let's move to the next one.
Pricing. Even when the hardware is equal one region to the next, some locations are just more expensive to operate in. For example, Brazil. Now, Brazil's tax structure is such that it costs AWS significantly more to operate the exact same services there than in many other countries. The exact same workload in Sao Paulo might be, let's say, 50% more expensive to run than out of Oregon in United States. Price can be determined by many factors. So AWS has a very transparent, granular pricing that we'll continue to discuss in this class. But know that each region has a different price sheet. So if budget is your primary concern, even if your customers live in Brazil, you might still want to operate in a different country.
Again, if price is your primary con
Again, if price is your primary motivation.
okay. Now, do we understand this? You know, you will always sell what you buy, right?
Exactly.
Uh-huh. Most you see most of the companies now that are operating in dollars. If they send you quotes in dollar, they will tell you this is based on
Today's
dollar.
rate.
Eh? Thank you.
The prevailing rate.
Thank
Today's
you.
prevailing
Fantastic.
rate.
That the day you want to make payment, we have to also check and confirm dollar price to you. Oh. So Sao Paulo is having this hype in their tax structure. So that makes AWS to be paying more money running their services from the data centers in those areas. You know what AWS actually do? What they did was they will go to they will go and build a data center in a particular location, run power, run everything. So they are paying tax, they are paying everything that every data centers are doing there. So they too want to make money. That is the purpose of running the service. So remember, the first thing is
Compliance.
second,
What's the second one?
proximity,
Proximity.
Proximity,
third,
Availability.
and fourth,
pricing.
Pricing.
okay, now. So the four key factors to choose a region include compliance, compliance with data governance and legal requirements,
Legal requirements.
proximity to our customers, features availability, available services within a region, pricing, that's cost. When we come back, we'll look at the moving part inside a region. We are looking at that now. Take this for us, Mrs.
Okay. Availability zones. An availability zone is a single data center or a group of data centers within a region.
Thank you. Stop.
Availability. Okay.
A single data center or a group of DCs within a region is an
Availability
availability
zone.
zone. Let's continue.
Availability zones are located tens of miles apart from each other. This is close enough to have low latency, the time between when content requested and received between availability zones. However, if a disaster occurs in one part of the region, they are distant enough to reduce the chance that multiple availability zones are affected. AWS has data centers, lots of data centers all around the world, and each region is made up of multiple data centers. AWS calls a single data center or a group of data centers an availability zone or AZ. Each availability zone is one or more discrete data center with redundant power, networking, and connectivity. When you launch an Amazon EC2 instance, it launches a virtual machine on a physical hardware that is installed in an availability zone. This means each AWS region consists of multiple isolated and physically separate availability zones within a geographic region.
The take home here is that an availability zone is a single or group of data centers within a region. An availability zone is a data center or multiple data centers that are connected together within a region. Can we see this?
We can see it.
Okay. So we can see our availability zones here. These are the data centers. US West 1A, US West 1B, US West 1C, US West 1. In North California alone, you can see the different data centers that they have, and all of them, they are connected together. Now, you see that, you see this circle, we say, is this yellow now or gray? I think it should be yellow. Someone want to help me? I know it's not gray, but it's not totally yellow.
It's orange.
Orange, okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Don't mind me. All right, so the orange color represents region. So you can see it. All this US West 1 is a region, not California region. But we now have the blue, which is what? The availability zone.
Availability zones.
These are our data centers that are now connected together within a region. So there is possibility that this data center goes down. Our services can still be up on these two, but you must put a technology in place to run your service in 3 or 2 availability zone for it to happen that way. This will take me back to the story of Facebook. Are you with me? If, for
Yes.
instance, Facebook are running their service only in US West 1A, if there is a power outage or surge here, all their services will be down. But if they are running here, US 1A, 1B, if there is outage in A, their service will still be up and running through B. And when this one is restored, all their services will be back up here too. But the take home we need to take home here is that availability zones are data centers or a group of data centers connected together within a region. We move on. Now, read for us. Miss Regina, are you there? Can you read for us? Okay, she says she's going to be in the office. Sorry. Mrs. Ivera, continue for us, please.
And as a best practice with cloud service providers, AWS recommends we run across at least 2 availability zones in a region. This means redundantly deploying your infrastructure in 2 different availability zones. Many of the AWS services run at region level, meaning they run synchronously across multiple AZs without any additional effort on your part. Take the elastic load balancing we talked about previously in our coffee shop. This is actually a regional construct. It runs across all availability zones, communicating with the EC2 instances that are running in a specific availability zone. Regional services are by definition already highly available at no additional cost or effort on your part. Planning for failure and deploying applications across multiple availability zones is an important part of building a resilient and highly available architecture.
Thank you. Now, I want to point out something you are doing, and I'm impressed with it. Listen, you got to this place, take the ELB. You already understand what it means. Elastic load balancing, fantastic. You already, because when you are talking cloud, you are not just talking that you understand cloud, but you are you have a broad knowledge of the services and what they are doing. Now, AWS already recommend that you do what? You run across at least how many? 2 AZs in a region. This means redundantly deploying your infrastructure in 2 different availability zones. So that if there is an outage in one availability zone, your services are still up on the second availability zone. So when they want to sign SLA with you, they will not sign SLA with you if you are running from one availability zone. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. They will say, we've recommended that this is what you should do. All right.
Sorry, sir. Please, I have a question.
Please do.
Running out of a region or an availability zone, can people from other region actually access my site or data center?
Anybody you do not give access to cannot access your resources.
No, I'm asking for cases like maybe services like Jumia that would probably be hosting themselves on cloud services like AWS,
Okay.
most likely hosting on AWS. Are they only hosting for the cloud in within Africa, or are they like as they have as they if they host in a region or an availability center? How do people from maybe availability centers in like California access this thing, the one from Africa?
Now,
Is
I already understand you now. That normally, if I am hosting my service in um, Johannesburg, for instance, right? How do people from Ohio, London access my resources? Is it not what
yes,
you're asking?
yes,
Now, this is it. It's only you because you are studying technically. It's only you that know where you are running the service from. Customer does not know where the service is. It's none of their business.
true.
Do you understand? Okay, it's
Yeah,
like going online to go and buy food now. You just go
yeah,
to
It's
Jumia. You
like
don't care
Gmail sef.
where they want to get the shoe from, right? You just say
yeah,
you just see the shoe, you click on it, you order it. Whether the shoe is coming from their office in Aja, or is coming from their office in Akowanjo, or is coming from Yaba, it's none of your business. Your own is
yeah,
that you want shoe and your shoe should be delivered.
yeah. Yeah,
Do you get that, Mr. Triumph?
I understand.
So, sir,
Okay.
so let's just say when the government actually banned Twitter in Nigeria, all they had to do is just to switch off some data centers in Nigeria, like as a region
Exactly. They can just shut. They might not need to switch off the data center. They can just shut the interface that is carrying traffic to that place
for Twitter
for Twitter.
for
I
that
I remember
region.
I had to do that. I had to do that for an ISP company I worked for then. Um, I think Mango Night. So they when the thing happened, as at the time that the government gave the restriction, w- will I say they or we were not aware. So getting to the office the following day, a young man came in and was, chatting and said, well, Twitter is still opening our network. And he was saying, I kept mute. And then my boss called me and said, we need to block Twitter. So what do you need to do? I needed to engage our upstream provider. Our upstream provider were still taking time because they needed to get approval and all of the whole thing. And for us not to be penalized, I needed to do a filtering. Yes, we're using Microtik on the core then. So I did a filter and I just remove, this Twitter we are talking about actually has a public IP, right? So
Yes.
Yes.
I will write a little script and deny access to that public IP. And that was all. So you don't, because of Twitter now, go and shut down the whole data center. What happened to the other services? Okay. So I think that answers our questions, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. We can move on to the next. Good. Look at this now. Amazon EC2 instance in a single availability zone. Suppose that you are running an application in a single Amazon EC2 instance in the North California region. The instance is running in US West 1A availability zone. If US West 1A were to fail, you will lose your instance, right? Good. Now, if we are running in multiple availability zone, the best practice is to run application across at least two availability zone in a region. In this example, you might choose to run a second Amazon EC2 instance in US West 1B. So we have it in 1A and 1B. And when there is outage on 1A, our service is still up on 1B. We get that, right?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Kayode, read this question and answer it for us.
Which was that? Okay,
It's on the board.
okay. Want to zoom. So, okay. So they said which statement best describes an availability zone? A geographical area that contains AWS resources. B, a single data center or group of data center within a region. Yes. C, a data center that an AWS services uses the A services size B.
Is what?
B.
You've not even picked B, you've already said yes when you read it. So, do anybody have any contrary answer, please?
No, sir, I agree with you.
You agree
What
with
is his
B?
answer?
B?
Is B.
B.
What's your own answer, Regina?
B.
B. Thank you. Availability zone is a single data center or group of data center within a region. Now, we need to look at two more things before we call it a day. Miss Regina, Miss Isibera, read for us.
Okay. An edge
Sir,
location.
sir, sir,
An edge
sir,
location is a
Vera,
site that.
sir,
Sorry.
please. You didn't talk about availability zone. Okay, you talked about that one. Okay, okay. Consider Vera. Thank you.
Isibera, go
Vera,
on.
Vera.
Edge location.
An edge location is a site that Amazon CloudFront uses to store cached copies of your content closer to your customers for fast delivery. Back to our coffee shop. Imagine if we have a good customer base in a new city. We can build a satellite store to service those customers. We don't need to build an entire new headquarters, or from an ISP perspective, we can run what is called NNI, network to network interface. If we have customers who need access to our service, but the service is hosted out of the Tokyo region, rather than having all the mobile based customers send requests all the way to Tokyo to access the service, just place a copy locally or catch a copy in mobile. Catching copies of data closer to customers all around the world uses the concept of content delivery networks, or CDNs.
Thank
Don't
you.
quite understand it.
It's complicating, but I will explain it now. You'll get it. Now look at this. Mr. Triumph asked a question earlier. The answer to that question is this. Remember, he said, how do my customers in London access my
Yes.
services in Johannesburg, right? Now,
Yes, sir.
we have looked at what we call latency. Remember, we said when we want to choose a region, we look at compliance, we look at proximity, we look at availability, and we look at pricing. Now, if my customer is in Johannesburg and my services are running from London, maybe because of cost, okay, that's why you choose London. It's cheaper to run your services from there. But you want your customers in Johannesburg to quickly access these things. You can use what we call edge locations. Is a site that Amazon CloudFront used to store caches. So all the services that is in London, you can copy them and have a copy of them in Johannesburg, so that people in Johannesburg can easily access it. Now, I want to explain it in ISP perspective. If I want to give internet to a customer, for instance, okay, for some of us that have worked in ISP before, you will understand this. Take, for instance, I'm taking a one, for instance, and myself running from, for instance, MangoNet, and I have another company, say Isivera has a banking sector, say UBA, okay? If I want to give service to Isivera's bank in any location, but Isivera already have his head office with May 1, I can do what we call NRN, which is called network to network interface. I will tell Isivera, don't worry, just connect a cable from your switch in May 1 to my switch in May 1. I can deliver service to you anywhere in the world. So May 1 becomes our edge location, our cloud front, where every traffic that want to go, we just hit May 1, and from May 1 it can go to any locations of Isivera banks, UBA.
So may one stand as the intermediary.
Yes,
Okay.
I will explain again this way. This one we might help us to get it better. All you wanted is your service get delivered to you quickly, right? These people that are doing dispatch, right? All this
Yes, sir.
dispatch. Your own is you just need your service to get to you. How it gets to you is none of your business,
Yes.
right? You know, sometimes maybe it's better we even do this. If you have a good customer that pays you very well, sometimes you don't mind even paying for the cost of dispatch to the customer. This is
Yeah,
better, imagine
exactly. You are very correct.
Maybe you look at the customer, he just tells you that, well, see, I don't want to know anything about how this thing. All I want is that my wristwatch to get to me. And you, being a
You are
business,
very right, sir.
being a business-oriented person, you would have put the
Hello?
cost of your transportation, contingencies, all of the stress. You can add like maybe 20, 30,000. Maybe the dispatch is collecting maybe 5 or 6,000. Your dispatch in that place is like your edge location. Your customer just want their service closer to them. So AWS, they come up with a service called Amazon CloudFront, and that CloudFront is they use it to store content of their customer information. And each time the customer needs the information, you can easily access it. So there are different edge locations around the world. Let's look at this. This
I
picture.
still don't get
Eh? You say what? Okay. Can we see this picture, please?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the customer here. Our service is running, take for instance, this service can be as far as London. Okay. And this customer, fantastic. I think the best thing I can use is to use Sao Paulo. Remember, we said that the cost of running AWS services in Brazil is expensive, right?
it's expensive. Yeah.
Now, you are designing a network for customers, and those customers are going to be accessing the service from Brazil. So what you do is to run the service from London, for instance, because of cost. And then there are edge locations all over the world. So there's an edge location in Sao Paulo. You will now feed content, all the things that are inside this EC2 instance, you will put it inside this edge location. So the people here, instead of having to come all the way to London, all they will need to do is just to access those resources from the edge location here, and it's back to them. Do we understand that?
So I think I was even getting it better when you used May 1 illustration.
Okay.
Not to God, not good. I swear.
Because now I'm confused. But I think I was getting a good mental picture when you were using that May 1
Okay, let me
So I
explain.
mean, I do not get this one.
Okay, let me explain. Do you see that there is a connection from here to the edge location?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now this is what happened. There is going to be more like a main one in Sao Paulo. Okay.
Okay.
That now has a connection, fiber connection to London.
Yes.
Now it is in that location, that main one in Sao Paulo, that the edge location will be. See this edge location like Isivera UBA,
Okay.
and see this EC2 instance as MangoNet that want to give you service. But there is a main one here. So main one has given connection to MangoNet. And that MangoNet can now from here, instead of all Isivera customer here to have to travel down here to see their service, they can
To
just
me,
go
one
to,
of the
yes, they just go to main one here, and the service is already in edge location here. They pick the service and they go home.
just like DHL.
Exactly, like DHL. Do we understand this?
So I actually understand it,
Okay.
but I actually understand it to the extent of them distributing the thing they are distributing. But so like I don't get the okay, I get the movement, the way they move, the way they transport from like the way they serve as intermediary.
Okay.
So now what I don't understand is what are they moving?
Now,
Like,
what are you moving? What did you store here for your customer? For instance, you have a website, right?
okay,
You keep a copy of those websites in the edge location here.
okay,
So instead of the customer trying to come to London to access the website, they don't have to
yes,
travel. The time it will take, though it might, this thing we are talking about is very little time, but then it matters.
yes.
I know that Isabella might not be able to grab this now, but both of us were in an event. She invited me for an event where they were discussing Huawei cloud infrastructure. We were talking about TikTok. I don't know if you take time. We were talking about TikTok. You see that TikTok videos are fast
Yeah.
and it doesn't break, it does not lag. The reason is they use edge locations. They use the content of
Yes.
CDN, content delivery network. They use that content. So
Yeah, it doesn't buffer.
they have their videos on edge locations very close around. So all their videos, you don't have to travel, even though the original content is in US. As customers, you don't have to travel to US to access those videos. You can quickly see them in the closest CDN. Do we get this?
So you are trying to say, right?
So it
Edge location,
automatically
they are
serves all
like,
those customers what they
it's
want.
like
Talk is better.
Vera,
It's like,
Okay. So edge location is like there's availability zone, right? We leave availability zone. So you're saying there's like a place close to you that have the resources you need that you might not have to actually publish what you want using TikTok as an example now. So
yeah,
you're saying that edge locations, right? Using your previous illustration like MangoNet and May one,
yeah,
you are saying that May one has the resources, right?
yeah,
Maybe they have the infrastructure and everything
yeah,
there. Me, I need um my videos to be available, but the closest data center is at maybe Kaduna. And
yeah,
Kaduna, before the person will view the video, it will take time.
yeah.
So you are saying that I will now make use of the resources May one has so that the latency time for those videos will reduce.
Now, you are very correct. You are not the one to do it as a customer.
sir,
Who is going to do it?
sir,
It's me, it's
can
your
I say,
engineer, it's the solution architect that will make use of edge location and copy the actual videos you have is in that Kaduna, but he's going to go and keep copies of those videos in an edge location in May 1. So you that you want to access the
Okay,
video
so
as a customer,
this edge location is like a
sir,
service.
yes, it's a
sir,
service.
It's a service.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
it's a
can
service.
I,
So
can I,
once you subscribe to the service, automatically anything you put there, they copy it to edge locations close to
Fantastic,
you.
fantastic. You get it.
so
Once
can I say like elastic load balancer works there?
Elastic Load Balancer work across every of your EC2 instance or services you run in AWS. But
Okay,
I think Isabella is already getting what we are saying now. It's a service on its own,
okay.
and it's in almost every area. But as a customer, you don't need, you know, one of the things that is confusing us is this. We are thinking as a customer and we are thinking as an engineer. You must think as one person first. If you are thinking as an engineer, okay, as an engineer, you need to set up the edge location for your customer to be able to access the resources as fast as possible. As a customer, e no concern you where your service is coming from. The most important thing is what? Your service is up and
Make sure I
running
read.
as soon as possible. Let's read this next slide. Maybe it will help us. Read this, Mrs. Rivera.
Okay. Sorry. A minute. Shay, what did they call it just now? What are CDN? Content delivery. What?
Networks.
Hmm.
Networks.
Content deli- Content delivery networks are commonly used and on AWS. Content delivery network is called Amazon CloudFront. Amazon CloudFront is a service that helps deliver data, videos, applications, and APIs to customers around the world with low latency and high travel speeds. Amazon CloudFront uses what are called edge locations all around the world to help accelerate communications with users no matter where they are. Edge locations are separate from regions. So you can push content from inside a region to a collection of edge locations around the world in order to accelerate communication and content delivery. AWS edge locations also run more than just CloudFront. They run a domain name service or DNS known as Amazon Route 53, helping direct customers to the correct web locations with reliably low latency.
So you already understand what content delivery network means, and CDN in AWS is called Amazon Cloud Front. And we say it helps us to deliver data very fast with low latency and high transfer speed. And the cloud front use what is called edge location. We are still going to talk about cloud um, Route 53 later. Now, but what if our business want to use AWS services inside their own building? Are you seeing this now? Say, for instance, you want to use AWS in your own building, in your own company, and you don't want to use it in the cloud. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying now. Okay, this is how I would say it. You know, if you want to barb your hair, eh, you go to the barber shop, right? Or you want to plait your hair, you go to the salon, Mrs. Rivera, right?
Yes, sir.
But now you now say, I want home service. You want to carry the stylist from our shop inside your, you know, some big men does that, right? Money day. They don't want their wife to go anywhere. You say inside the house, they bring the stylist to come and, so this is what you want to do now. You want to bring AWS to your organization.
Yeah.
Do you get that now? That is where we call AWS Outpost, where AWS will basically install a fully operational mini region right inside our own data centers. Did you get that? That is what they do for like that Chinese now. You know, we have Chinese the region, AWS Chinese region. What they do is to go and build AWS inside China, and everything reside inside China. Everything will reside inside your own organization too. But you know that is going to be very expensive. That is owned and operated by AWS using 100% of AWS functionality, but isolated within our building. That's within AWS building. It's not a solution most customers need, but if we have specific problem that can only be solved by staying in our own building, AWS Outpost solves that problem.
Problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sir, I
Somebody
want to
wants to
ask
ask
one
question.
question.
Okay.
So, like, let's just say for China now. So, if AWS actually has like a new maybe updates for all their let me say servers,
Yeah.
she get. So now they will have to go to China physically they can't do it remotely. They will have to go there physically.
Because all data reside in that place, they don't have to go physically, but they're going to have a representative or
Okay,
representative
over there.
that stays there, that works in that region. That's the person that will go there, and everything they want to do, there must be, there's going to be a service level agreement between AWS and Chinese government. So
Yes.
they will now say, what do you want to do now? You understand? Chinese,
Yeah.
these things are very, what do you want to do now? What impact will this thing you want to do have on our infrastructure? You must spell it out.
Yes.
Okay, so that answers that.
No hanky panky this thing.
You can't do anything funny.
Yeah, I get.
All right. I think we've taken this. The next one. In summary, here are the key points. First, regions are geographically isolated areas where we can access services needed to run our enterprise. Secondly, regions contains what? Availability zones that allow us to run across physically separated buildings, tens of miles of separation, while keeping our application logically unified. Availability zone helps us to solve high availability and disaster recovery scenarios without any additional effort on our part. And thirdly, AWS Edge Location runs what? Amazon CloudFront to help get content closer to our customer, no matter where they are in the world. So that's what we've done today. So I think we should call it a day here. I don't want to keep it. Anybody have any question? We continue from here on Thursday, hopefully. How to provision services on AWS.
I think I'll just have to read it through and then
Okay,
come back if I have questions.
fantastic. Anybody have any question to close today? All right. If there's no question, thank you for
No
coming
for
to
now.
class. Someone want to ask a question?
I said no for now.
All right. Thank you for coming to class today. Do have
Thank
a
you, sir.
wonderful night. Bye.
Good.